So folks, today we're going to be fitting two items to the bike from an American company called MachineArt MOTO and distributed here in the UK through a company, if you haven't heard of it already, called Nippy Normans, who have had a lot of my money already. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So we are going to be fitting two basically mudguard extenders to the bike to stop a lot of the stuff being thrown up. So what do we get in the packaging then? Well, let's have a look down here. So the front mudguard extender with some destructions, they called it the Avant, very posh sounding name, and you get some protective film and some mounting brackets and screws. And the rear mudguard extender they call the MudSling with the accompanying destructions, and you get the MudSling and a few cable ties. What are we going to need to put all this together? Basically a set of snips for cutting those, and then if you're a little bit protective of your bodywork like myself, I bought some helicopter tape from 3M. I think a lot of the mountain bikers use this to protect their frames from chips and stuff, so you don't need to put that on, but I'm just being particularly fussy about my bike, having spent a lot of money on it, so I'm going to put that around the frame just to protect the frame should there be a chance of any rubbing of these zip ties. But apparently on the forums there isn't, so maybe that's me just going OTT. A couple of things you should be aware of, possibly, depending on what ties you've got. Depends how thick the knobblies and the tread is, you may get a bit of rubbing on the inside of the MudSling. I've jumped on the MachineArt MOTO website. It does actually list tyres which are compatible and tyres which aren't, so if there's any doubt, just have a look on there, or indeed jump on the forums and see if anybody's fitted your tyres on the bike together with the MudSling to see if there are any rubbing issues. But my bike is sporting the Michelin Adventures, so it's got that sort of kind of knobbly kind of pattern. I've already dry fitted the MudSling before we started videoing, and boy, the clearance is about 5 to 6 millimeters. So I was thinking it might rub, but I've jumped on the MachineArt MOTO website and it says, surprisingly, with the bike on the center stand, if there is any kind of clearance, then that clearance will get bigger when you take it off the center stand and put more weight on the bike. I thought it would be the other way around and it would have rubbed, but apparently not. So I have got about 5 to 6 millimeters of clearance. So once I've fitted it all, we'll take it for a test ride and I'll let you know whether or not I've got any rubbing. So I've got the front fender extender as well. When I ordered the bike, I ordered it with the enduro bash plate, which sticks out from the front of the bike a little bit more. So again, I've already test fitted this, and I've just got an issue with the bike on the center stand. When I turn the handlebars from one side to the other, it's just catching it on the front of the enduro bash plate, which is a BMW bash plate. So I may have to take a Dremel and just take out some of these high spots here, just to make the steering move freely from side to side. When there's weight on the bike, it's not a problem because the high spots on here don't catch the enduro plate, but that's another issue I've got to put up with. So that's enough for me waffling on. Let's get down to the bike and see how it's fitted. So what I'm going to do first is just take a damp cloth and just clean the inside of the rear mudguard first. So with a rag with a little bit of ACF 50 on it, without touching the tyre, for obvious reasons, I'm just going to give that a little bit of a rub. And the same again on the back side of the MudSling, give that a little bit of a wipe with a bit of ACF 50. The bottom of the mudguard, this part here, the blade, fits into the shoe part of the MudSling. So let's slide that in all the way down, and then we'll just pull it up until it fits flush with the shoe. So feed it through and then down past the original mudguard, bit of a waggle, and then fit the bottom blade of the original mudguard into the MudSlinger shoe. There it is, and then you feel it go up, and that is it, done. So this is what it looks like when it's fitted. So as you can see, there's no gap, and the MudSling shoe has slotted into the blade at the bottom of the original rear mudguard section. All we need to do now is fit the zip ties. So before we fit the zip ties, just to let you know, I did use this expensive 3M helicopter tape. It's a frame protector tape. As I mentioned, a lot of the mountain bikers use it on their bikes to protect their frames. And I've just fitted some on here, here, and the other side as well. And these two places here, you can see the holes where the zip ties are gonna come through and they'll wrap around the frame. Not to say it's going to cause any rubbing, abrasion, etc. But yeah, I'm just going to do that anyway. And when the BMW dealer put all the accessories that I ordered from BMW on the bike before they delivered it to me, again they've put these infill panels on the side just to protect any spray coming out. And again they've used this kind of helicopter tape as well. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. So they do recommend fitting the zip ties in a certain manner. So I'm going to keep to what they say. So fitting them in like this, and you just got to make sure before you do them all up that the shoe is still up against the blade of the mudguard, i.e. it hasn't dropped. So we're going to do this to all 4 of the zip ties. I won't pull them fully home yet, and then the same for the other side. So finally that is all 4 zip ties in place, and then all you need to do is get a set of pliers and just give them a bit of a final pull just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And having obviously checked that the blade of the rear mudguard is sat nice and snugly within the shoe of the MudSling. And then finally grab your snips and just give them a snip and cut the excess off. That is it, neatly installed. That's it folks, that's literally a 5-minute job fitting the MudSling to the BMW. So here's the final look then. Nice and tidy with the zip ties. Yes, a bit overboard with the frame protective tape from 3M, but hey, I can do what I want, it's my bike. And on the other side as well. So that's about a 10-minute job really. Let's have a quick look down here. So yeah, nicely branded here, MudSling. Don't know if you can see that, and zip ties on the frame, all nicely trimmed, and again my 3M frame protector tape. What can we say? It's a bit of plastic, an expensive bit of plastic, but hopefully all this extra stuff around here will stop any water coming out and getting onto the rear shock and also onto your pillion legs as well. So let's fit the front extender. Hopefully that's not going to take too long, hopefully. I can't believe I'm going to do this. When the bike's on the side stand, absolutely no problem whatsoever. And when I'm upright sat on the bike, there isn't a problem turning the handlebars with the Avant extender rubbing on the enduro bash plate. But when the bike's on the center stand, there is. So I've already masked this up and I'm just going to take away some of the high spots with my Dremel. So without further ado, let's crack on. I can't believe I'm doing this. Anyway, let's do it. Before we start, this is quite a smooth tip, so let's see if this works. That just needs a tiny bit more off, then that's job done. Right, here we go again. Right, that's both high spots taken out. I have tried it on the bike, happy with that. I've cried several tears, folks, because if you know me, you obviously know that I would definitely not want to do this to any bit on my bike. But this is just to keep all the crap from going over the nice 719 cover of the bike. So that's the damage I've done to it, but it works. So let's fit it on the bike now. So first things first, just make sure the mudguard is clean and dry, because what we're going to do is attach this protective film just on the top there. So if we ever want to take the Avant mudguard extender off, we know there's no damage to the OEM mudguard. And before I squish it down, just going to offer the extender up just to see if everything fits well. Yep, happy with that. So next thing you've got to do is put the brackets in, and then the T25 screws, and then the brackets go in that way, so the hooked bit is pointing towards the outside, and then just do them in enough so that the bracket doesn't come out of the moulding that it sits in. And then just with your trusty T25 screw it up, and that will be the job done. That's one. I won't do that one fully up until I've seated this one correctly. And over to the other side, and then finally just tighten this one up. That is enough for me. So you can see down here where I've had to cut into the fender extender, and with that enduro plate, it's fine, that clears it now and you can't hear anything. But although it's not brilliant, it does protect my gorgeous 719 engine cover at the front there. Beautiful. Well, that's it folks, that's the end of the video. I did actually take the bike out for a run yesterday, and I tried it on maximum preload, minimum preload and autoed together with the various ride modes, and there was no issue with the MudSling rubbing on my Michelin Anarchy adventure tyre. So happy with that, not a problem. It's just sad that I had to take the Dremel to the front extender, but needs must and all that. As ever, after a couple of days, couple of rides, just revisit all the mounting points and just make sure nothing's worked their way loose. As always, ride safe, and I haven't got many accessories left to fit, so we'll see you again soon in the next video of bits and pieces. Hopefully you found it of use to yourselves. Give us a thumbs up, make any comments in the comment section down below if I've made some howling mistakes, and see you again soon in the next video. Take care for now, and as always, ta-ta. Bye.